Peace, y'all. Mumtahana here with Beyond Clouds. So, I am rocking my orange t-shirt today for Orange T-shirt Day, September 30th. Now, I'm making this video. I know a whole lot of y'all already know about this. I just learned about this, and so I'm passing on the word because I know most of the people that I hang around, my Muslims, my blacks, my whites that I like rock with, none of y'all know about this. You're hopefully it'll become more mainstream so far as the information. But what Orange Shirt Day? I have a t-shirt on, and it looks like it's yellow on camera, but it's actually orange. But what Orange Shirt Day is, it is support for all the children, the victims of residential schools or Indian industrial schools, they were also called. They were schools that actually stole Native American children from their families. Sometimes or oftentimes it was under the auspice of, you can't take care of your children, we will feed them, we will teach them, we will do this and do that. But the actual reason for them, because of course oppressors don't help, they oppress. But the actual reason for them was to push this idea of killing the Indian, keeping the man. So residential schools were funded by the governments, United States and Canada, and they were run by churches. So different churches, different denominations, but that's what they did. I actually don't live very far from the Carlisle residential school here in Pennsylvania, which was the first one, the prototype, for what I understand. And again, that was their whole idea, to fix this Indian problem that was happening. So they would take these children. They just really went through hell. Thousands and thousands of them were killed there. And there has recently been this how do you say? It's recently, in the past years, been sort of pushed to the forefront of finding these burial sites, and some tribes are working on returning the dead back home to their actual tribes in ancestral lands. I was gonna say something. So yeah, that's what's happening with that. So these children, they again were taken from their families. They were being tortured, raped. They would be brutally beaten, especially if they tried to speak their own languages or had any semblance of their actual identities. African American people, oftentimes these days, that reality that African Americans had to go through slavery and post-slavery, things we're still going through. You hear a lot about African Americans, and rightfully so. But Native Americans also went through a whole hell of a lot. And I know that growing up in the black community and black consciousness, so to say, there was for a long time this idea of, well, they came and got the Africans because the natives couldn't hack it. They were like too weak, which very strangely was like some sort of badge with a lot of people. It seemed like people that I would hear say that sort of thing. Like they couldn't handle being a slave, so they came and got us, type of craziness. But the reality is, slavery did happen here with the Native Americans. It was just as brutal, if not, arguably more brutal in a lot of cases. I know that idea is hard for people, black Americans in particular, to wrap their minds around. But yeah, it is possible. So you just imagine all the horrors that African American people went through in this country and still go through. Native Americans statistically go through worse. Native American women are killed and murdered more than any other demographic in this country. Native peoples are assaulted and killed by police more than any other demographic in this country. And that is not trying to compare, you know, oppression, murder. I mean, how do you compare that? It's all horrible, right? But I just say that to say that I believe we also have to recognize what the original people of this land have gone through and still continue to go through. And we need to educate ourselves, like, across the board. Everyone should, in my opinion, again, everyone should have the opportunity and everyone has the right to express the atrocities that they have had to live through. And so today, again, September 30th is Orange Shirt Day. And it is to acknowledge the atrocities that Native people went through, Native children in particular, and of course their families went through in this country or this land, you know, Canada included. And it's just so very bad. You know, my family, my mother's side, my father's side is Taino, but my mother's side is Mohawk. And one of my grandmothers ended up from Canada down in Pennsylvania, and we're still trying to find out the story. But I've always wondered if she was taken from her family. The industrial schools or the residential schools were not the only way that children were being ripped away from their families. You know, they were also just straight taking them and giving them to white families to adopt. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's just it's such a huge story. I don't even know all the story to make an entire video right now. But I mean, it's just so much. It's so vast that I encourage you to go on out there and find out these things for yourselves. I think that we have to, oppressed people need to work together. I don't care, regardless of your race, your ethnicity, we have one thing in common, if nothing else, and that is being oppressed. And that sucks. In Islamic tradition, it is believed that oppression is worse than death. It's worse than death. So again, I have on my orange shirt in support of those babies who were raped, murdered, tortured, and also those who survived, because, you know, the last school was closed in the 1990s. That wasn't that long ago. Not at all. I mean, I remember 1995 like it was yesterday. And so there are many survivors. And, you know, I am wearing this shirt in support of them also. And again, if we can sort of just honor each other. It's not about who we believe got the, you know, worst part in the matter or whatever. We all have been touched by evil, and I think that it deserves acknowledgement. It deserves what's the term? We deserve to be able to confront those things publicly and try somehow to heal, instead of, I mean, it's going to pass generationally regardless, but we can change the narrative and we can make it better. It's always going to be pain and hurt and horrible memories, but hopefully we all can start to try to heal from the things that have been done to us, and move on to sort of reclaim who Creator made us to be, and to reclaim our spiritual connection with Creator and creation. So yeah, go on out and get yourself an orange shirt and stand with survivors and victims and the fallen of residential schools. Peace.